today on the Fandom Outpost.
This is where you do that kind of crosstalk where you
They're cannibals.
They're cannibals.
Straight
They're
up.
like eating all them dudes.
Yes.
That looks pretty good, dude. Damn.
Party like a hut party. For
They all got blitzed. They're all high on cocaine or something. They just all passed out. I got time for that Star Wars shit. There's girls in my life. And Anthony Daniels, just his voice, he goes, "Excuse me."
That had a lot of sex in it. Did not realize. I did not realize how much.
Yeah, I want to put a plug in.
Okay.
Unexpected.
Okay.
Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Whether it's your first time or return time, we appreciate you stopping by to give a listen or for our YouTube channel a viewing. It is Sunday, April 30th, 2023, and this is episode 4. Yes, episode 4. And this is a special episode, I think. Of course, we're going to delve into some usual things that we talk about. And for those, if they can tell, they're listening at home, we're all in the same room this time. And for those who are going to follow us on YouTube and check us out every month there or every 2 weeks, we have a little setup at a table here that we're kind of all in the same room, which is really awesome for us.
It's nice.
Hopefully in the future, we're going to do more of these special episodes that I like to call them and stuff. So I guess with that being said, how are you guys?
Good. How's it going?
Oh, I'm Mark.
I'm Jim.
I'm Bob.
All right.
Sorry.
Din Bob.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't even know how to feel about that. And I don't understand it. Like, I really don't.
Well, today's kind of a special occasion because of the movie we just saw together.
Oh,
That's
right.
kind of what brought this whole show together.
What is that movie?
We went and saw the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So we thought we'd have a Star Wars extravaganza and wrap up our spring of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, too. Yeah, our spring of Star
I
Wars.
think we're moving on to more wider range of things.
It's been quite a bit, and I think even though we thoroughly enjoy it, we're getting a little Star Wars fatigue, and that happens from time to time. We have so many things that we'd like to talk about outside of Star Wars, films and music.
And yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but for the people at home or for those who have been commenting, thank you, and putting in suggestions and stuff, we are going to get to a lot of that stuff. So please stick with us. I think that only the best is yet to come.
Yeah, there were some good suggestions.
Yeah, some really good stuff. So I know I appreciate it. I know you guys appreciate it. So what makes...
We want to wrap up.
yeah, I guess we're going to... Yeah.
We've been on the Mandalorian kick for, the last... Well, all those episodes.
Since
now
the start, yeah.
The finale hit. And we just wanted to give our brief thoughts on it and maybe wrap up the season of The Mandalorian. And then we'll segue ourselves into Return of the Jedi and kind of give a bigger overview of our feelings of
the
Star
entire
Wars.
saga. Yeah, I think that's good. Well, as we always do, we're going to let Bob kick it off.
You want me to go?
Yeah, dude. Well, I have... Okay, I'll start.
Yeah, you start this time.
All right, I'll start this
We'll
time.
go from there.
First question I'm putting out to my partners here. Gotta ask, did it stick the landing? Jim?
For me, it did. My expectations weren't super high. It tied up the loose story threads that it presented in the first episode. So of this season, I should say.
Right.
And if they called it quits at this season of Mando, I would be happy with it, knowing where it landed.
Right.
I don't know, Bob. What were your thoughts on it?
I feel the same way with the if this ended the Mandalorian series, it would be fine because the way it was going was not quite what I enjoyed the most of the series was the serialized episodic week to week adventures of Mando. It's kind of grown into this bigger universe of developing story for future movies and future series. I don't know if I like that as much. It's interesting, and it adds more characters and things, but I think it's a little too much to pack into what was originally meant for the series. But it seems to be what they want to do. So I don't know. What do you guys think about
That's yeah, that's actually, it's a really good point. And the fact that we saw Return of the Jedi today, I made a joke in the theater at the end saying, "Oh, do we get an end credits scene?"
Right.
Because that's such the norm. So, and is it coincidence that it's Jon Favreau who's the showrunner, and he comes from the House of Marvel, and Marvel is literally the ones who pioneered or perfected, if you will, the end credits sequence. So, setting up future movies in Marvel. So does he just follow a certain formula? Now, that's not a dig on him. I like what they do, and I think they're immensely talented, but I also miss the throwback days when you just got a complete package and it was singular. So we didn't have to introduce 42 characters who we know are moving on to something else. And I guess if I had a negative about that, what if you don't watch anything else? What if you come to The Mandalorian and you only watch The Mandalorian? And I know off camera or off recording, we talked about this a couple days ago about the whole Grogu coming back into this season and where he was at the end of last season and how confused the viewer might be. But overall, that I think is a problem for these type of series. There, I said it.
We grew up with episodic adventures, right? Pretty
Right.
much. I think I just wonder if it's just the way things are nowadays, where people need to binge, people need to have a longer stretch of a story to hit along the way.
Yeah, I think we consume media quite a bit different, and that's that binge or to not binge, or even the opportunity. I mean, if you could have watched the entire season of The Incredible Hulk, would you have watched the entire season of The Incredible Hulk, or would you have watched it week to week? When it's kind of the same story week to week. He just goes to a different town,
Yeah.
gets into a different situation, and becomes the Hulk, and then we move to the next town.
Well,
So,
but that's exactly what we're talking about. That's a
Yeah,
good point because it's what do they call that? Like it's not episodic, but it's
Formulaic.
self-contained, formulaic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
self-contained. So if we got that every week and not something that fueled us for the next week, would we care? Or would we be like, oh, I can't wait to see what they're going to do next week? It's a different mindset, I think. You know what I mean?
there very much is a formula that these creators of shows that are on our streaming, all the streaming services follow. That, by this point in the show, you have to hit something to make that person want to, like, where's my be jonesing for that next show? Where's my next show? Where's my next
Yeah,
show?
where's my next fix? Right.
Yeah,
That's
right.
yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
do you guys think that The Mandalorian did that this season, though? With it seemed to really go off into weird directions. It had that one kind of Andor lights show with Pershing and all that. It was kind of like that didn't really connect. I don't know how much that paid off for having that much time of the series.
Right.
45-minute episode, 50-minute episode, and it paid off with Elia Kane talking to a probe droid later. That was about it. I mean,
Well, that's a great example because so 20 years ago or 30 years ago, or whatever, we're talking about these movies and things like that, would I ask this question? So is Pershing dead? That would not have been an issue if it was all not the new modern formula that we're talking about.
Right.
Because now everything's a guess, and don't get us started on the whole Moff Gideon clone thing, which we'll probably at least touch on.
Oh, sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like, I liked the Pershing story. I'm probably in the minority. I don't care that they deviated and showed us that, because if it's setting something up, Project Necromancer or whatever, and maybe we should give Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau credit for at least wanting to explain that gap of, I don't know what it's going to be. Is it 20 years for now to Force Awakens? You know what I mean?
Right.
So at least give them credit for explaining some of that stuff, because nobody else did. We had a trilogy of movies that didn't explain any of that stuff.
Right.
So I just, I'm not sure though. I don't like that I had to ask that, and I don't like knowing the end of this. That to me, Moff Gideon, spoiler alert, by the way, was vaporized.
Well, supposedly.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Somehow
Until you
Moff
see a
Gideon
body.
came back.
But we mean until you see a body. Like vaporized is vaporized. You wouldn't see a body. That dude got vaporized. I mean, that how vaporized. But that's the point I'm trying to make. Thank you for making that point, because that's what they've geared it towards. Oh, the question is he going to come back? And you guys have been hearing me bitch for how many episodes? 8 episodes about Moff Gideon. Let his storyline be done.
Was he a clone? Was it one of his
Right.
clones?
Oh, my God.
Oh my God! You get into all that.
Yeah. Well, hit some more points for me, please, because I can't.
Well, the other thing that is probably my biggest complaint is, even though that episode was really cool with Dr. Pershing and all that, was that it was trying to squeeze that longer range plot line into an 8-episode series, and it's like, it just didn't seem. I liked watching it, but when you watch the whole series, it's like, God, that took up a lot of room in that series to get. How much did we get out of that?
Right.
You know,
Right.
So anyway, we should probably just focus on this finale real quick, get that out of the way.
I
Because
agree.
basically we have the continuation from the armorer taking up the
Yeah, it picked right up where it left off. I mean, the troops were running out of the caves, and we saw what finally happened to Axe Woves. And
Who I'm not sure there was a question of that. Like he just flew up. I don't know what he did.
he went
He just flew up to the ship.
he went full Iron Man, and he went up
He went to the
ship.
ship.
Yeah.
So was his plan to get help, or was his plan to go get a battle cruiser and start? I'm not quite sure.
I think his plan was to get help until he figured out they were being swamped by
everything. Yeah,
So,
which is fine. By the way, I still think Axe Wolf should have died.
no,
I really think that he was a great yin and yang that they set up between him and Paz Vizsla. So you had the one faction that Paz Vizsla represented in the Mandalores, and then you had I'm not sure what that other faction is called, with Axe Wolves, and the two of them making the sacrifice in the episode before and in the final episode. That is a great bookend, that those two guys somehow cared more about the overall, and they both sacrificed themselves.
guys took a hit. One of our guys took a hit.
Yeah. To me, that would have been really cool. And the fact that I'm sorry that they waste time showing all this build up, and he's bringing the ship in, and then you're like, I'm just gonna zip out the window. You know? That's like a Superman power. It's like I can fly, so I can get out anytime I want.
I mean, that was very Flash Gordon. Like in Warlock
yeah.
and Ajax. I want somebody off the internet, people. If you're watching and listening, I need a super cut of all the Axe Wolves coming in hot, and I need like the Flash Gordon score going Axe Wolves. So I need that. So somebody make that happen.
because I thought he was taking the ship in, and I thought he's going to sacrifice himself.
Right,
That'd
it felt
be very
that way.
cool. I felt like
That would have been really good. But so we got high stakes with Paz Vizsla because nobody expected that, right?
No.
But then, we got high. Did we get high stakes with the season finale? Because listen, dude, where's your moneymaker at? Din Djarin's going nowhere. Grogu's going nowhere.
Right.
Maybe Bo-Katan if they didn't want to do something with her in the future.
Right.
So who else? You're going to kill off the bad
Armorer.
guys and the armorer.
Yeah.
There's no stakes, dude. And they're up there flying around beating the shit out of each other. And like nobody, there's not a wound. Like somebody, it's funny. What happens to if you're in, I thought about this. Sorry, just a second. What happens if you're in battle and your helmet gets knocked off?
Oh, you're
You
out.
got to go back to
You're out. Go back.
You out?
Yeah.
Like, somebody clanks one of them helmets off.
Sit
And,
down.
looks
Back
like
to the
that
living
dude
water.
from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome when he hit that one guy
Yeah.
and stuff, like that. You got to go back to the waters and dip it in there?
one
And
question.
is that a get out of jail free card? They're
Oh,
literally
that's crazy. My helmet came off. I got to peace out.
Yeah, like I'm hungry. I'm too hungry. Let me just eat. Oh, there's the waters. I'm just going to go back and do that. It's like get out of jail free card, man. They
Dip
just
it in.
dip it in there. Oh, my God.
I had a question about Axe Wolves. Why did he give up on Bo-Katan because she didn't have the dark saber?
That was their ideology.
Yeah.
Right. That was their.
But she didn't have it when they were together. That's what I don't get.
That's true because the whole time Gideon had it, right?
Right. They were
'Cause
running
there
around
was-
as pirates,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, that's the thing. They were she was leading them towards something. So they were trying to have this. This is the goal that we're going to do. I'm going to get to that, right? But then they find out somebody else has it because they didn't know where it was during all of that.
Okay.
So then when they find out, that's why in the episode where there was that conflict, he was like, this punk ass bitch has it. You won't even take it from him or whatever, you know? And then it's like, okay, here you go. I'll give it to you.
And at the end of the day, that all meant nothing.
Nothing.
So
Well,
that
the
was
dark saber,
The
right?
dark
Yeah.
saber, yes.
That was kind of a disappointment.
Well, it's funny because Moff Gideon wanted it so bad, but he was, I'm just going to crush it.
Yeah. Couldn't he
And
just
that-
punch somebody and take it out their hand?
You know.
And why did he want it?
I don't know.
Like, was
Well,
that ever explained?
He did have the line that the Mandalorians cling to their trinkets,
Yeah.
and which is a good, the previous episode, Din's telling Bo-Katan, it's like, we don't care that you have the dark saber. It's like, we're following you because
Yeah, it's
we
true.
believe our people are following you because you believe in you. That dark saber stuff is in us. And she
What-
was kind of like, yeah, that was.
Yeah. I think that was good anyways, because if they took the dark saber out of the equation, it could mean like they could show them united without
Yes,
a trinket or something
I
like
think
that.
that
guess.
was
Yeah,
that was the
so-
point of that, to have her still be the leader, even
Yeah.
though she doesn't have the dark saber.
And she didn't have it when no, sorry, I was about to make a mistake. But Paz Vizsla gave the speech to do whatever, like to join everything and stuff. But that was Din Djarin that he was talking about or
Yes.
something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, my bad. What else you got, Bob?
Grogu's character development.
What character development?
That's what I was going to say.
Oh my god.
This is my.
Well, we got his backstory this season a little bit, and
a little bit,
he kind of got to walk around in IG-11,
which was cool.
and he got to voice his yes or no's.
Yeah.
And he showed that he learned something from Luke when he stopped the two Mandalorians from fighting, because that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And because they said,
I did like that. Yeah.
we didn't teach him that. That's not from
Yeah,
us.
I did like that.
How much do we? A lot of this has to do with merchandising. Let's not
Yes.
kid ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, with the whole series and movies and all that, do we feel that merchandising pushes things that maybe we don't like as far as a story?
You know what? It's funny that, okay, my opinion of that is I don't think it's as simple as that sentence. I think it's somebody from somewhere in Lucasfilm, if that's what it is, or Disney or whatever, can come down with a memo or the set and say, hey, here's a suggestion. Do you think blah, blah, blah? And maybe if Filoni or Favreau or those guys can work something in, they probably would, because it makes everybody happy. But I think also in the bigger picture, if they're like, I can't do that. We literally have 22 seasons. You can do this other stuff, and we can get some things in there. Like Moff Gideon with Dark Trooper armor, the new, I forget what the guys that are flying around, his white trooper, those are all brand new action figures that are going to be coming.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Grogu with IG-88 attachment or IG-11 attachment.
I got
You
it.
know,
I got it.
so I get those. That's right there. That's a lot. You know what I mean? Here's a new set that comes with a mythosaur.
Right.
You know, it's
That's
like
all
that, so.
but those are all things that are within the story. So those are all characters that exist to help tell the story. Let's just for a half second go back to like Obi-Wan, right?
Mhm.
And Princess Leia has that, batteries not included Lola
Oh my
thing.
God.
And the minute I saw that, I'm like, well, that's going to be on the toy shelf.
It sure was.
And there it was. And it was, it was a minor plot device, but it was a plot device.
But again, like I think that somebody could have said, hey, when she's on her own or doing this other stuff, can you guys write in that she could do this? Or could you show that she's good with tools and trinkets and stuff?
Right.
That to me, that one's a no-brainer. Yeah, I can write that in. It's not going to affect anything.
So,
You know what I mean? Plus somebody used it against her.
Right. So, but there is,
Or reprogram.
I don't think they were like, all right, new season, I have to have 6 action figures and 3 vehicles, and I need a cutesy thing for the kids under 3. And,
Right.
this, despite your Disney Plus dollars and your movie tickets, it's like all this merchandising is that's where the money is.
Right. And
So-
for those listeners at home that can't see us,
Oh,
they're just listening to us, Jim and I just passed our hands over our table here that we have a plethora of merchandise, some vintage merchandise and some modern merchandise just sitting here. That probably is pretty pricey for exactly what we're talking about, because that's what sells,
Right.
And if we know the story of Lucas and his infamous deal the first time around for merchandise rights, then it's all
Right.
good. I think they stuck the landing. I think they had some missed opportunities. So I'm circling back. So I think it was good. how they wrapped it up. They took what the storylines were for the most part, and they finished those storylines that we had questions about. That's why I think they stuck the landing. Were there some missed opportunities? Absolutely. Would I like to see Grogu do some more stuff? Yes. Him jumping around on the lights and stuff until he had his big moment where he did the shield or whatever was dumb. I would have loved for him to get a piece of Gideon's ass, because Gideon was the one who was like, let me stab you and take your thing in the very first season, and look at how Grogu grew. It'd be cool if he had that moment that he could confront him, pushed him with a little force power, something like that, that he could have done something.
Grogu literally put a Rancor to sleep.
Yeah.
A Rancor.
Yeah.
A ravaging Rancor to sleep in Boba Fett.
So
those Praetorian Guards should have been nuts.
I think he was underused. That's my point. I do. I think he was underused. It was more, and I'm not saying it was written that way. It more, think about it. I mean, I laughed, I smiled. It was more of a comedic effect, him jumping around.
Sure.
And he used all defensive measures. But when Moff Gideon showed up, I mean, even for Grogu, that would have triggered something, a bad memory that I could have been like, oh, that guy, I know that guy's bad.
Right,
you know,
right.
Let me try a little something. But I'm not disappointed that Bo-Katan was like, we're stronger together, and they had their little, if you will, family moment where it was like
they wrapped that up.
You know,
I mean, with the Mandalorians being reunited, Din gets his little. He's set on the shelf, basically. He could come back. He can do whatever. He could not come back. He could do whatever. They just set him aside. He's in his little home. He's got Grogu.
Well, I thought the deal he set himself up with the
New
Republic. I was going to say rebellion, but they're not rebelling.
Oh, talk to the pilot.
Yeah, talking to the pilots. I thought that was that was a satisfactory. Oh, this is where this show is going to go.
Yeah.
And if I have a little homestead on Navarro, then I can drop Grogu off at the babysitters while I go do a thing. Moff Gideon can, or not Moff Gideon, but Grief Karga can watch them. IG-11 can watch them, and pick a person that can watch them.
Or he doesn't even need any. Man, they put him in a starfighter and shot him across the galaxy by himself.
R5-D4.
So it's like they don't need that kind of stuff.
Okay. So I guess my final thoughts on this season was it was kind of a missed opportunity a bit. It was a change of direction, which I probably didn't care for as much as the earlier seasons.
Right.
I thought it might pay off more at the end. It did a little bit. It was kind of a short finale. I could have gone for about another 15 minutes maybe with some more things happening. So I was okay with it, but I wasn't like, it wasn't computer face Luke coming back, which got me pretty excited this season too. But it was fine. It was good. I out of 5 crates, I'm going to give it a. I'm going to give it 2.5.
Oh wow! Wow, that's pretty low. I would go higher than that. I mean, I'd say it's about. I'd say, well, if I had to be honest, I wasn't fooling myself. Given what I like to dislike, I'd say 3.5, 4 for me.
I
really
follow that as well.
I think the only thing I would take off that final crate is because we're talking about predictions and stuff. It'll be interesting to go back and listen to some prediction. Yeah.
Wrong.
Which is fun.
I just know the majority of the world was thinking that an end credit scene with Thrawn showing up would have been in here.
Yeah.
If they now, am I upset about that? Absolutely not. You know why? Because I expected it based on the formula that they're doing, the Marvel formula, all that. The fact that they didn't, I was like, oh, I'm impressed. They didn't do that. They're like, no, if you want to see that, come over to our new show in the summer. You know what I mean? So that's why I liked it. But still, you thought about it. You had to think about it.
Oh, sure.
Because he was mentioned, he was mentioned, and, something popping up would have been cool. But I'm okay with it. But I really liked it.
Jim's final thoughts and rating?
Yeah, my rating, like Mark, was 3.5 to 4 on the crates. Yeah, there were a lot of missed opportunities. It seemed to kind of weave back and forth as to where it's going. Again, I'm wondering how much of that is Pedro Pascal has, other commitments now. So he could sit out an episode or 2 because he's filming something else.
Yeah, literally The Last of Us came out the same time this season was coming out. Yeah. So when were both of those things filmed?
Right.
Yeah.
And they are the couple of stunt actors that also help provide the physical being of the Mandalorian seem to be getting a little better credit this time around. So, it was fun to see Bo-Katan. I like that character a lot, and to watch her where she grew, and and went forward. But,
This is a good spot to write her out.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
best
I
prediction.
was way wrong about that. You know, that's a good place to leave her.
But yeah, but again, if it's they wrapped it up, and if this is where they ended it, which isn't because they've already said they've written the next season. I'm good with the direction it seems to be heading in now.
I think it'd be awesome if he didn't show up until
yeah.
that movie. Like
They're
they're
all
like, what are they
wrong.
doing, Mandalorian? And then he shows up in that movie they're supposed to. Oh my god!
No,
that'd
he's
be
walking.
crazy.
He's walking around the Disney parks with the animatronic Grogu
Yeah,
in a
that's
bag.
right.
So
Yeah, so he's
This
there.
season took a while to come out, so it's going to be a while, right?
yeah, a couple years.
All right.
All right. We're segueing into our extravaganza.
Yes.
So May of this year, which is tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
Marks the 40th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And as the 40th anniversary, it was playing at the theater, so we all decided to go see. Oh, we didn't take any kind of pictures at all.
We didn't.
So
We barely got there.
yeah,
It was early.
and we talked about it on the way over before we did this, and it is very easy to fall into criticisms about it. But given the time, and Jim pointed this out, given the time that it was made and what it is, and green screen versus certain other effects and how CGI's come aboard, I told these guys that twice during the film I found myself feeling like I was back in the day. I was a kid again. And there was a couple scenes in there that still to this day really get me going. That I'm like, oh God, I love that. I just love that. And there's a part of the score as well that when the ships are all about to attack that Death Star, that I'm like, man, like it just really makes me feel good. Arguably, the internet and the world says it's the weakest of the original trilogy. I'm not sure if I buy that all the time. I think it has some good things, but there are some things that I noticed today that you don't pay attention to. And Jim brought them up. I'm going to let him talk about Han Solo because there was some stuff that I was like, wow. And so,
Talk about a sore spot.
yeah.
Yeah. My weakest link in Return of the Jedi is Han Solo,
Mine too.
especially because he was Empire is such his film. Even with Luke and training to be a Jedi, and the big thing, that's Harrison Ford's movie. That's the reason why we get into that's the other Indiana Jones movies, and he's an international star on an even bigger level than Mark or Carrie Fisher.
Right.
He looks so disinterested in every single frame of that movie. Like, I do not want to be here. And they made his character so dumb.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
a
There's
goofball.
nothing cool about Han Solo.
It's
No.
sad. I
No.
felt the same.
3PO, you tell that piece of worm-ridden filth. Like every time 3PO said something about going in the Sarlacc pit, he had a quip.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, dude, stop. Like every time, all three lines that 3PO had, he had three little quips that were like,
It's like
Han Solo.
they forgot how to write them.
Oh, somebody did. I don't know if this one was written by Lawrence Kasdan, but oh my gosh,
Yeah,
somebody forgot.
It's terrible. And you can
And again, folks, it's easy to pick it apart like that. But it's
it
not,
didn't seem that way the first time I saw it.
Let's get
This is years of
let's get the nitpicks out of the way first, and then
right.
Yeah. Okay.
because I'm with you on that. Han Solo was the weakest. Carrie Fisher had a little bit of. I just some of the lines are just like, what? What's wrong, Luke?
No, they're not. No,
Oh, my wife.
none of them are known.
So
for
my wife
great-
complains. Let me tell you this. So she complains about Harry Potter because, like, those three kids in Harry Potter, right? They don't ever tell the adults anything.
Right.
They run around, whatever they're doing, magic that can kill you in a heartbeat, and all this other stuff. And whenever they discover something, the most that they would do is maybe go to Hagrid. But they don't go to any adult who's a professor who literally is on another level with magic and be like, I could take care of that in a second. They don't do it. To me, that's weak writing. Sorry, Harry Potter fans out there. It's the same way with that, what Bob was just talking about.
we were laughing at the, what can't you tell me? And it's
Yeah.
like,
So, like, with Carrie Fisher and Han comes out there and he's like, oh, could you tell Luke? Is that who you could tell? And she literally makes this face where she's like,
I gotta be alone.
I can't. Hold me. It's like, why can't you? Like, drop the bomb on Han. Like, literally, you just told Han you loved him. You could be like, hey, Luke, your boy, that's really my brother. But, like, why does it have to be a reveal at the end? Like, it doesn't. None of that has to. She could have said, now, I could understand telling him about Luke. Maybe she doesn't want to say, hey, remember that dude called Darth Vader that we were messing with?
Yeah.
I just found out that dude's my dad.
Yeah, the guy that
That-
tortured you.
Yeah, that might be a little bit different because then he might want to be like, what? I don't want nothing to do with you. That's some fucked up family right there. Like, that would be.
I mean, that's just it's not like it was through the whole movie. It was just a few
Right.
scenes here and there that I
Right.
just,
And again,
I've always kind of cringed at a little bit. It's like, it wasn't in Empire. It wasn't even in the original
Right.
New Hope. It just seemed like it got a little bit like just cash in the check kind of thing.
Yeah.
and these
little
are not things, again, in its height of its heyday, I wouldn't have noticed any
Right.
of it.
Right.
I noticed it because it's 40 years old, and I've
Right.
seen it a million more times than I could count.
And,
So
and there's some lines in there that they really make me feel I either laugh hysterically or stuff. So there's this Anthony Daniels who plays C-3PO. There's a lot of chaos happening. Something, and R2's got to go to the bunker to help Han.
yeah,
And it's like, and Anthony Daniels, just his voice, he goes, R2, stay with me. Like, he's all crazy excitable. You know, he's just like, R2, stay with me. And it's just funny to me. I laugh so loud every time because, like, the actor itself is really embodying C-3PO, and C-3PO is the biggest coward
right,
ever.
right.
You know? And it's funny. He's like, R2, stay with me. So, I don't know, it just made me laugh. Sorry, I was going to segue into the Ewoks or Han don't give a shit about R2-D2 at the bunker. So pick one of those, Bob. So,
Well, that it just shows you. It just goes to show you how we view droids and how they're portrayed in the series from back then. Back then, they were kind of like appliances that they were set to do a job and
Right.
tag along, and if they didn't work, you got another one. I mean, R2 was not going to be picked by Luke with R5, and if it wasn't for R5 blowing up or whatever,
and malfunction.
you know, he's like, just get the other one. So it's like, it wasn't
No,
like
that one.
it wasn't like they're pets. Like nowadays, they're kind of viewed as like a pet,
right.
where it's like, oh,
We've given them, we've imbued our, emotion and character into them,
Yeah.
which
Well,
is what makes them fun. So
But
that's
you
why
look-
we care.
you look back and they're treated quite differently.
Yeah,
I think. And
I like how R2 with Anakin was like, that Anakin's my boy. I'm gonna do all this shit for him. I got rocket boosters. I got electronics. I got this oil I can spray down and light it up on fire. And then you come to Luke and it's like, nah, you don't get any of that.
I might show you this video.
And you don't get anything. Like, I understand it was because Lucas went back and did all that, but And speaking of merchandise,
Oh,
as I pat the head of the Ewok out there, I guess if I had to have an opinion on, I enjoy, first of all, statement, I enjoy the fight at the end. I do. I enjoy everything about it. It's fun. It's just fun for me. Okay, the action piece, blowing up the Death Star and or the what's the name of the planet again? Endor. So and the I was about to say the Ewoks. Oh, it is the Ewoks. Why did I think Chewbacca then?
well, they were supposed to.
Oh, that's right. So, but I like it. I like the whole battle. I think it's fun. Even watching the Ewoks and in my brain hearing the world scream, like, how would they ever defeat these guys? I don't know. There's a couple times if you got rocks thrown at your head that are pretty big, it might knock you down. And there was a part in there were 6, 7, or 8 that jumped on a couple of them.
Right.
Beat them in the head with the sticks and
yeah,
stuff.
they're beating him in small troop numbers, but large Ewok numbers.
I leaned over to Bob though, and I said, "The real hero is boy when Chewbacca gets that ATST.
Yeah,
Like that was on. Like I'm glad that he got broken away,
yeah.
even with a couple of those dudes to do something. He's like, we better go take that out. Like let's go, and that was sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, come on down here, help me because R2 just got his ass blown.
Has there ever been a more disrespectful end to a character as there was for Boba Fett?
No, that's literally a Wile E. Coyote moment. That is. The only thing he didn't do was stop and look down to see there was no ground underneath the Sarlacc, and then fall into the Sarlacc. The last time Boba Fett was cool in Star Wars was when
Sneaking through the hallways of Bespin.
when Bosch put away the detonator and he went like this.
Yeah,
that was it.
was like, yeah, it was cool.
And they sprinkled this. The version we saw is the one that exists now, which is the special edition. And
true.
you know, they peppered him in Jabba's palace as many times as they could pepper him in Jabba's palace. I don't need to see him chatting up two singers.
Yeah.
It's like-
Oh my God.
It was cheesy as heck. So,
Chatting up two singers. Like, I got nothing better to do. Like, I'm a bounty hunter. Why am I hanging out at Jabba's
right,
palace?
he's entertaining.
Or, yeah, well, I kind of look at it like Jabba was throwing the best party in the world.
Yeah,
Like
apparently,
Jabba,
because everybody's sleeping on the same in the same room,
right? Like, they all got blitzed. They're all high on cocaine or something. They just all passed out, you know, because that's what happened. He's like sent out flyers that said, I got Han Solo. We're going to have a Han Solo and Carbonite party, man, because that's what happened, a rave and stuff. And then I did not notice, nitpick, I didn't notice that when Bosch came in, Leia in disguise, when Bosch came in, that big old throne that he's on, he wasn't on that. Like, there were a bunch of people that were sleeping on it.
Right.
So he wasn't on that. But I thought, did he have the foresight to know somebody was going to do something? Because where did he go?
Yeah.
And then they pull the curtain and he's there.
He's not he can't move fast. I got to imagine he's
Right.
He's
He's a big slug. So, and what did they do? They get the
They knew it
crane,
was coming. It's like, "Psst,
you know?
don't say anything."
They're like, oh my God. So when everybody goes to sleep, y'all got to move into this room and we'll park the curtains and it'll be a good reveal. Yeah. I just thought that was really funny to me because I never noticed that. I thought he was on his, always on his base, right. Like he was sleeping on it because when
Bib
Fortuna first came in there, he's like, and he was like, oh, like it scared him awake and shit. And I was like, oh my God. Like they just all passed out wherever they would.
Can we quickly describe the plot of getting Han Solo released? We were trying to explain this to each other on the way out of the theater today, and
so what if
how many things had to go perfectly exactly
the way it was? Yeah, it was a Three Stooges plot. That's exactly what that was.
Like there must have been like 3 plots, and if one doesn't work, we're going to plan B. We're going to plan C.
Right.
Because I don't know
they didn't do
how they planned
on the shoulders with like a big coat, you know.
Oh.
That's the only part.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious. Well, like
they did that in Obi-Wan, though, right?
They didn't tell.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
They didn't tell 3PO anything.
Right.
Like the dude's in the dark.
Not any help at all in this.
None help at all. So what? And this is really. I mean, I understand what we're doing. We're nitpicking it, but it's like, what if R2 gets sent somewhere else? Do you know the luck that he was sent to the sail barge?
Right.
You know what I mean?
He has the lightsaber. Right?
He has a lightsaber, so he was sent to the sail barge because Bob leaned over, and was like, "Doesn't Luke just have a lightsaber? Can he just kill the Rancor with that?" And I forgot too. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. R2 got it." So they all pieced out, you know. And was there a time frame? So Luke was like, "I'm going to give you guys 12 hours, and then I'm coming."
Right.
Like, was he the third part of that? Like, if Bosch did the whole thing. I don't know.
First, the droids come in.
Yeah.
To send a message. It gets rejected. They're enslaved.
Right.
Bosch comes in, offers the droids. That's rejected. She gets Han Solo out of the carbonite.
Right. Which somebody said something.
They let her
because
do
they
it.
knew it was. Yeah, they knew it was coming.
But then they capture her.
Right.
That plan B's foiled.
Right.
And then Luke shows up.
Right.
That's foiled. He gets thrown
that's not even, I don't even know if that's plan C. Like, and what's Lando? What part of the plan is he?
Just to make sure he knows where everybody's at.
Because he stayed the whole time hidden.
Chewie's enslaved too.
Yeah, Chewie's enslaved. So, like, we were talking about the Bosch part, which is what I think the linchpin that it hangs on. Bosch comes in, they hand off Chewie. So, if Bosch rescues Han Solo, and he is super fucking handicapped, they got to know what carbonite does.
Right. They figured it out by now.
They got to.
It's been a year or so.
Yeah, so they got to be like, oh, when you come out,
you're either going to be
12 hours or whatever.
So she's got to get him, and Harrison Ford to Carrie Fisher. I mean, he's a whole head taller.
Right. She's
Ain't
not
no way
she's
she's not going to be carrying him out. So then, if she does that, and Bob got a good point where he said maybe Lando's supposed to get Chewie, but I don't think they knew that Chewie was going to get locked up. Maybe, I don't know.
What if they put Chewie to death?
That's what I thought. Yeah, like what if he put him to death? This is the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt. That's how they always refer to him. Why did they put him to death?
And you had a great.
It's like the sail barge.
Yeah, sail barge. What if Han Solo was the first guy off the gangplank?
Well, first of all, I'm going to nitpick the Well,
The effect?
Yeah. Well, I'll do that in a second.
All right, we'll get to effects next.
Do your
But just the fact that
Yeah.
Luke happens to be the first one on the gangplank,
right.
so that the lightsaber could be ejected to him, perfectly timed with the.
I would have been
with the,
pissed at
Great
Solo.
Luganis flip.
Like, if I'm Jabba, I don't care who you are, Jedi boy.
Right.
Like, I get to you. Like, I think I get to you.
Right.
But maybe the arrogance, so I'm going to do that first. But Solo was the thorn in my side for, what are the years? Like 5-6 years that the movies are supposed to take effect. And then before that, they have a relationship before episode 4. So, like, literally, I would have been like, throw Solo's big ass mouth in there. You know what I mean?
First.
To show you I'm serious. Yeah.
Unless Luke used some mind trick on the guys on the skiff, but who knows?
Well,
And the real question is, why didn't Han Solo pay off his debt after Star Wars? Well, then we would be dealing with this.
I don't.
What, he
got all that money, right?
Yeah, but so if you go back to Empire, okay, I know this is me digging deep. You go back to Empire, so he's sticking with the rebels, so they're busy. He doesn't have time because that whole thing that he says about the Ord Mantell thing, the bounty hunter on Ord Mantell changes his mind. That's why in the beginning of Empire, he's like, I gotta go back and do that. So he would have, but circumstances do whatever. Here's a great thing:
the split up of them.
Here, I'm gonna try not to laugh when I say this. All this technology, can't you just credit somebody like Venmo?
Yeah.
Like, can't you just do that? Job. Okay, for those that can't see at home, Jim just picked up his phone and did the whole like Venmo thing and stuff. Like, why can't you do that?
Jabba at the Hut Cash menow.com. You know, yeah.
So when Bosch did the thermal detonator, right? He says, I agree with 35. How does she get paid? Does he just say, here's a big bag of credits, go knock yourself out? Right. I know that nobody's really talked about money or something. Like, if this is the
well, you know what? Back then we didn't have that. We couldn't Venmo anybody.
Right. All right, so I had to be able to give credits to somebody.
Write a check.
Write a check.
So I'm gonna send a money order to Jabba the Hutt.
Money order to Jabba the Hutt.
That's kind of the main nitpick, and that's what there's the 3 acts of the movie are
Tatooine,
getting Han Solo rescued, getting the shield generator, right?
Right.
And then the third is destroying
the Death Star,
the new battle station. Is it called the Death Star? I don't even know.
No, it's just only in the scroll. Yeah, I do want to talk about the sail barge scene really quick though.
Oh, the effects.
Yeah. So when you're watching the effects, and again,
too.
I really think that I'm being overly critical, and I don't. I love Return of the Jedi, I do, but when you see the 2 skiffs and then the sail barge, they are not in scale with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when the sail barge is coming at us, at first you think it's maybe just a larger skiff, like they look really out of place, and that's not even the point that I'm about to drop. So I'm like, okay, they don't look really good. Then it kind of flies over you, and you're like, all right, I could see that. And then they got the one that's parked perfectly on the edge of the pit, perfectly.
Yeah.
Because Weequay or whoever he is, he's at the controls.
Right.
So, and the other one's even flying around. Then when the action starts, the other one is kind of parked, kind of. Maybe they were coming in slow for docking. But when the action starts, it starts to go crazy. That dude on the sail barge is blasting the shit out of their skiff because it tilts.
Yes.
Everybody falls. Luke doesn't even get to the sail barge. He's first got to go to the other skiff. Bang all those dudes out. So my crazy nitpick is at the end, what do they leave on? Because they leave on a skiff, and when everything blows up, the sail barge blows up, and the perfectly formed second skiff is still there.
Oh.
So did they write they fixed the one that was so blown to death? You know, because it was just Lando going, we're on our way. And then there you go. He must have
righted it.
I mean, I was like, holy cow, that dude's talent, man. If he got up there and
he must have
righted it up, because
otherwise we had to transfer everybody over to the next.
Exactly. I just think that's funny. That's funny that I noticed that. And literally for 40 years, I've never noticed that until today watching that. But it's been, 26 years since I've actually seen it on the big screen again. So
special edition.
It's fun. Special edition.
It was fun to notice things that I hadn't Or I think I didn't notice before. We had talked about we saw Dengar a couple times in the
Yeah, he's in that palace. There. I mean, and if it's not, it's somebody who
was dressed
exactly like him. So I mean, it clearly looked like that.
I had noticed when the Ewoks had brought everybody, tied up back to the Ewok village, that there was one Ewok. He had a big bowl and had the lightsaber and all the weapons and stuff.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So I didn't even notice that
one.
Are we going to confirm or deny that the Ewoks are cannibals?
They're cannibals.
They're cannibals.
Straight
They
up.
like eating all them dudes.
Yeah, I would think so because a lot of their ornamentation is
like
bones
teeth and stuff. Yeah,
skulls
bones and stuff.
like
yeah,
that.
so
straight up.
everybody's, I've been hearing that for years on the internet that they literally just ate up all the stormtroopers and stuff.
Like, didn't think of that, but yeah,
dude,
right.
like that's the big feast. I'm sure they had a plethora of vegetables and fruits, but the main course had to be all those bad guys. It had to be.
There was
like
the dark side of
the dark side of Star Wars.
Years ago at a convention, I had seen, and I'm sure someone probably makes them on Etsy, that they were like trophy plaques, right? You know how you get a deer and have it mounted to the wall. They were Ewok heads.
Oh,
like guys who dress as troopers would buy these things, and this is what I got. This when I was on my tour in Endor. I got these 3 guys, and it was like, okay.
Oh my God, that's funny, scary though. Like Bowser said, the dark side of it.
Right.
Let me ask you guys a quick question because it just popped into my head. Lightsaber battle in Empire versus lightsaber battle in this one.
Empire.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Bob?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it's more dramatic in Empire, but it's more emotional in Jedi.
That's a good call.
Yeah. I love Jedi. I don't know why. I know everybody's like Empire's the best. Empire this, Empire everything.
The music's really good in it because it kind of swells. Oh, so your sister. I mean,
the music's carrying a lot of that scene.
Yeah,
it is really carrying a lot.
Oh, that whole scene where he's like, I don't know how to do it now because but he turns and it's like sister.
Right.
And he says it all real sinister, like a bad guy, but like a creep, and it's like, and then that's when Luke wigs out, which is really cool. Like that's a good scene. But I thought, except for maybe 1 or 2 moments, Luke looked like he was carrying the whole battle. He was like, I shut my saber off, dude. I'm not going to fight you. And then that one time he was pushing back a little bit, but it just looks like he owns Vader. Now, I bet you a million commenters could be like, that's because Vader really didn't want to hurt his son and stuff. I'm like, I don't know, dude, because
there aren't that many years between Empire, right? And Jedi?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if it's
a year or 2 or something.
I heard 2. It's a long time for Han Solo to be there.
They don't care.
And they're still partying.
Yeah.
Also for
party, like a hot party, right?
Party like a hot party. Let's go on a T-shirt.
That's going to be a clip.
Oh my God.
Well, just for Vader to lose such like dominance he had in Empire, right? It's kind of fell off the deep end there with that battle.
He's at the height of everything in Empire. Right?
Yeah, I don't ever.
For me, it's Empire just because that's the first time I saw. Oh, this is a lightsaber battle,
like a good one.
Yeah, a good one.
And I don't fault the one in Star Wars because that was a lightsaber battle in Star Wars. I didn't. Somebody
it's still the coolest.
Somebody was like, "Oh, we got to choreograph this like Robin Hood and have these guys all over the Bespin and slicing stuff up." So,
well, the nostalgia for Jedi runs deep because this is a story I want to tell. We hadn't met Bob yet, so it was just basically Jim and I, and we were in 8th grade. I believe it would be 8th grade, something like that. But we were in art class. I remember we had a teacher's name was Mr. Seresny, and he had overheard us talking about Return of the Jedi at our desks, and he had come over, and he was a nice teacher. I loved him to death. He was a really cool guy, and retired down to Florida for many years. I
think so, yeah.
He passed away now, but he was like, "Are you guys talking about that Return of the Jedi?" And we were like, it was weird back then, it's like teacher was
like adults were.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's asking about Return of the Jedi. You don't get to ask about that. That's our thing, But we were like, yeah. And he's like, oh, what are you guys doing? We were like, Jim's mom is out getting our tickets right now. And he literally was like, can she get me some tickets? She did not, obviously. But
I don't think there would have been a way to contact her to get those.
There wasn't. No, he did. He said, you can use the phone in my office. Yeah, but we're like, but if she's already out, how would we get a hold of her?
In the world before cell phones.
Oh yeah, the world before cell phones and stuff. But we got those tickets for that Wednesday opening, which I believe it was a Wednesday opening, and it was at your guys's, because I live in Ohio now, but here in Michigan it was at the Maikai.
The Maikai Theater.
Maikai Theater,
which was one of the only 70 millimeter.
70 millimeters,
So
and it was
one
giant screen, probably held 800 people in that auditorium.
It was huge.
And the line was from the door out to the road, which the sidewalk went past a full parking lot. So obviously those listening to the podcast can't see my hands, but it's like the building, then a parking lot, then your sidewalk. And that line stretched all the way down to that road.
Out of all the big things I'd seen there, and there were a handful, I'd never been in a line like that.
We were, and we got up front, and I was like, I remember I kept worrying, saying we're not going to get seats, but not realizing as a young guy that the scope of how big the theater was and stuff. And the amazing thing about it, the memory that I got from that moment was that, and this is a lost art, America, internet, whoever you are, when Darth Vader, the villain of the piece, because we had not really been introduced physically to the Emperor yet, the villain of your piece exits the shuttle. A roar erupted of applause for this dude. A villain.
Right.
They loved this guy. And I remember right there with them just cheering, which was great. And I think that's a lost art. And one of these days we're going to get around to talking about event movies where you cheer at the screen and, and the good guys win and stuff like that. But I just remember him coming down that gangplank, with the mist in front of him where it was, and it erupted. I'm sure there were other ones too that happened.
I do remember from seeing that. One of the things I do remember is that it was of course a packed and sold out house, which was huge. It was an event movie, like you said, and yes, people were clapping and cheering. And if you've ever been in an event movie, be it a Marvel movie or a Harry Potter movie or whatever, like the electricity that's fueling the whole audience.
Yeah.
But I remember toward the end in the fight where the Emperor's, frying Luke, and I remember there was like some lady in front of us going, "Throw him in!" And she was screaming at the screen.
She could not handle it.
Yeah,
that lady,
save him!
Yeah, save him! It's your son. Yeah. That's right. Like she could not handle it.
Yeah, she was losing it.
And of course, when he did, that lady she hooped and howled. I remember her.
That was a big, huge audience response.
Huge moment. Yeah. And of course, you didn't have the whole no.
Yeah.
No,
that didn't bother me as much
doesn't,
this time as the first time I heard it. I was like, what?
Yeah, but the tweaks that Lucas made, some of them don't bother me and stuff like that.
In this
the
movie,
dance scene
in this movie, the
Jabba's Palace dance scene was
unneeded.
Was horrible.
I don't think most of those special edition add-ons have held up great and were really.
I think it works best in Empire because it expands Cloud City.
Cloud City, I knew you were going to say that one.
And
they open up the windows because it's called Cloud City. It's supposed to. It might be nice to see the clouds.
That probably had the fewest of additions.
Yeah,
right. And then the upgraded Wampa scene was better.
Yeah,
and that's really the only ones that stand out to me about Empire.
Right. Yeah.
In this one, in Jedi, we had the revised Ewok song, which I like the old Ewok song because I grew up on it. But I like the fact that this
I kind of missed the old song.
Right. I like the fact that this extends to the different worlds.
Yeah, that's why I think they had to have it because it had to be the slower, rhythmic.
Right. No, I understand.
Song to show the world.
Kind of changed.
My wife, oh my God, dude, she calls it the YUB NUB song.
Oh yeah, that's great.
She loves it, dude.
Nikki, drop it wherever you're gonna drop it. Drop it like it's hot.
Oh my God.
YUB NUB. It's a YUB NUB.
God, she loves that thing, the YUB NUB song, and which it's not. I get it, but it's like okay,
it's fun.
Well, Bob, since we weren't with you and stuff, what is your?
I don't really have a big memory of that. I was a little older than you guys, so I was a sophomore in high school.
Damn.
So I was driving around chasing girls, probably.
Oh,
and you know what I mean?
I got time for that Star Wars shit. There's girls in my life.
It was a little different
period in the closet.
That's so funny.
It's just because
what you guys are saying was exactly what I experienced for Empire, which was 3 years earlier, and I was what 10, 11?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, 80. So yeah,
80, 81 is Empire, right?
no 80, right?
80? Yeah.
77, 80, 83. Yeah, no, I'm
We
going
got copies of it down here. I don't know if it's gonna say it, but yeah.
So I know I was 13 when Empire came out, and then Jedi was 16. So yeah, 16 is a little
16.
different.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
So I probably
understand.
I don't have a vivid memory of. I'm sure I saw it. I mean, I love those movies back then. I just don't have that vivid memory. But for Empire, I remember standing in the same line at my kind, same wrapping around, hoping I could get.
We didn't.
the cutoff to get into the theater, buying the little souvenir book at the.
I don't think we saw ours initially at the Maikai. Did we see it at the Terrace?
Jedi?
No,
Empire. We saw at the terrace. Remember, there was above the doors in the terrace. Somebody had these like black velvet paintings of
Yeah. So, and
and I bought my souvenir book at the same counter.
I just stupid story about Empire. It's like that. I think everybody waited for Jedi. Everybody did like it. Like it was you knew it was coming to an end. You like everybody kind of had that vibe. So you really wanted to see Jedi, but nobody knew Empire was coming. You know what I mean? Right. So when you got the word that there's a trailer out for Empire, you really tried to go see it and see what it was, and it just was a huge guessing game. And oh my god, this is gonna sound so stupid, but like I was one of those guys that the Black Stallion was playing at the Terrace.
Oh yeah,
well, that was the only one that had the Empire trailer. And
that's right.
I saw the Black Stallion 3 times just to watch that stupid trailer.
The Empire trailer was something to behold.
Well, that's what I mean, because you didn't know, because it was a weird panel trailer where it just showed you images. It didn't really give you a lot of context, and it didn't, like,
oh my god, what's that creature?
Yeah, stuff like that.
And whatever.
Well, I know that the biggest thing, at least with us when we talked about it or coming out like discussing the trailer, was holy shit, Han Solo was shooting at Darth Vader.
Yeah, that was
that was a big moment where you were like, what?
The gun, yeah.
Because they scared you back then, because like the villain didn't really meet.
Right? Nobody was meeting face to face.
Yeah, Star Wars is a weird thing. It's like you're in a ship to ship, or you're not.
That's what I remember most. Yeah, was that door opening and Vader with Boba Fett. You're like, oh my god, what's going to happen when they?
Yeah. Sorry for the Empire rant.
Oh no, that's what we're going to kind of encapsulate.
When we get around to doing Empire, I'd like to maybe do some digging and find out what people's speculation of what the story was going to be.
Oh man, that'd be
crazy. Imagine? I'm gonna dig up some old Star logs.
Oh my god, it's so funny that you mentioned that. So I don't know who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody about Starlog and Empire. I don't know who it was. It was probably one of my kids, and I remember there was the shot of Chewie working on the Falcon. Mm-hmm. By the way, America, Starlog is a
defunct.
It's an pre-internet where you got all your information from, so to speak, ahead of time.
Science fiction film magazine.
Yeah, and it was great. And then the equivalent to the horror would be Fangoria, right?
Same publisher. Yeah.
So Starlog, they had just one caption or one black and white photo of Chewie on top of the Falcon working on it. And all it said below was, Millennium Falcon, have they had a brush with a black hole? And it was so speculative because that was just one of the photos that had been released by Lucasfilm. And I remember at the time going, oh no, what does that mean? It's so stupid, but I think honestly the internet is both a blessing and a curse because if you want to know everything about a movie before you see it, you go to Wikipedia and you can just read everything you want to read about it. Right. So you don't even need to see the film or anything like that.
On the flip, I can go look up that Starlog article somewhere is going to have it.
Yeah, dude, that's how I said that should be the research and stuff. That's great.
I guess finally on the special edition effects would be the Force Ghost at the end.
No, that's
how do we feel about that? When I saw it this time, I was like,
obligatory groan coming in.
I didn't care for it. Even today, I don't care for that. I wish they would just kept the same.
I just don't know if
the older actor
Lucas was like, I don't know if he was paying respect to Hayden Christensen as the actor who was currently working on that series with him. Like, was that,
think
Or was it just ego where he's like,
Look, I could put this in.
I can do this?
that part.
Because
that's a lot.
first
That,
of all,
that tracks.
yeah, internet, by the way, everybody out there listening, nobody believes Lucas about when he ceased being Anakin was when he did this and he was his younger self. Like, it doesn't track. None of that tracks.
Yeah, he ceased
You know what I
being
mean?
he ceased being Darth Vader and became Anakin again right before he
Right
died.
before he died. So, yeah, technically he would have been that guy.
So when Luke looked over at that fence post, he's like, "Who's that guy on the end?"
oh, my God.
Right?
Yeah, you get none of that.
There's no context.
There's no context. So
No
it's like
puts it in
he's a young
context.
kid. So it's like, oh, all right. I mean, think about that. Everybody out there watching Return of the Jedi, next time when Hayden Christensen shows up as Anakin,
Oh, yeah.
technically Luke would be like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
Is that Obi-Wan's son? Like, who is that? You know? And if they were going to do that, respectfully, they should have done that with Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. But
Yeah, why didn't he turn into Ewan McGregor?
yeah, Alec Guinness had, they hold such a high regard for him, which I get,
Rightfully
but
so.
they should have done it for him then. Just do it for the both of them.
Should-
you know?
yeah, Yoda
And
should-
Yoda didn't look young.
He didn't look like the crappy Yoda from
From
Phantom
the
Menace.
Phantom Menace, yeah. Which that was a terrible puppet, by the way, but
Yeah.
So-
that dude scared me.
I do want to shout out to Warwick Davis as Wicket,
Yeah.
because how old was he when he made this? Was he
Wasn't he like 17 or something like that?
No, he was like in
Oh, 10. Yeah, he was
like
young.
8
I'm
or
sorry.
10.
Was he
Yeah.
that young?
He was
Yeah,
he was very
super young. I'm sorry.
I
And
didn't realize that.
as a suit actor, as someone who's in a suit, getting a lot of learning how to work the emotion of not that he's making the eyes blink or anything, but just the physicality of the miming of what's going on. And for a kid who just got plucked out of school to be in Star Wars,
Right.
he really knocked it out of the park. So
What you got, Bob?
When we talked about Han Solo, do we feel like he should have been killed off in Empire?
well,
I kind of do, but
he didn't sign on for 3.
right, I don't think
That's
he
why.
thought
That's
it.
why they froze him.
Yeah, everybody knows that story. I mean, it's legendary about him.
No,
Harrison Ford wanting him to die,
That would have been
which,
terrible.
well, I just saw some stuff the other day from Lawrence Kasdan talking, like it was a deep dive into Empire Strikes Back. It was like the Empire Strikes Back that we could have got, the Return of the Jedi that we could have got. So there's my plug for those channels. But they were talking about there's a lot of different storylines they could have done. And Lawrence Kasdan agreed with the Han Solo thing. But if he was going to do it, he said do it early on so that the expectations for Jedi would have been like, oh,
And
nobody's safe.
Nobody's
You know what I
safe.
mean, nobody's safe. And I love that they even had an opportunity in there when Ford's looking at the Falcon, or Han Solo's
Yeah, I
looking at
love
the
that
Falcon.
scene.
He's like, I don't feel like we're going to see it again.
They're like
you know?
prime on the pump for that.
Yeah, so I was like, uh-oh, And Harrison Ford, you can pull up any interview with him. He's like, yeah, I thought he should have sacrificed himself for his other friends. That's great, because that's a travesty in The Force Awakens how he died. Like, that's a travesty. There's no sense of why he should have died.
Yeah,
in
but
there.
but Han Solo died. Other than Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die.
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah,
reason.
that's the only reason. Right, absolutely.
Disney would be making Han Solo movies with Harrison Ford today if he didn't.
Oh my god.
But I always felt in that movie it was better for him to go out doing a touchy-feely thing with his kid that he isn't good at, because he was not going to go out in the Falcon on a space run, because he's aces at that. He knows
That's
all
true.
about that. So
That's true.
he's going to go out doing something he doesn't know how to do or has struggles with. So,
Right.
but it was still a stupid death. So.
It was.
There's a deleted scene I've seen on the internet of Luke building his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really like that scene, but I know it probably wouldn't fit into the movie. Probably wouldn't add anything, and it probably would have slowed it down even more in the front end. But I think that's a cool scene. But
And I saw a thing that
Well, sorry.
earlier in
That scene coincides with actually Vader contacts him. So it's just not building the lightsaber. It's the greater emphasis on that scene is that Vader is reaching out across the thing, and he's like, "Son," and he's like, "Dad." Like they're kind of having this weird conversation while he's building it, and then when he cuts the communication, then Luke lights it up. It's a cool scene. You should look it up. It's not bad. I'm not sure if it would have fit the entire beginning of the movie.
Where does it break up the pace of the film?
It comes in, if I'm not mistaken, it comes in before the droids go to Jabba's palace
All right, from
because I think 3PO and R2 in the background when he's doing it. And it says cave, but the speculation is supposed to be like Ben's home, you know?
There's also a cut sandstorm scene.
Yeah, that's right. Before they get on the Falcon X-Wing and fly off to get the Rebel fleet.
Right. Somebody was like, "Oh, Luke's opening his cockpit for this X-wing. Is it not full of sand by the time he fits it?"
Yeah, they cut that scene too. Yeah, that really held up for no one. But then I think
No, just show.
there was some
just to show
dialogue
two
between-
ships going.
Yeah,
like that.
him
It's
and
like,
Harrison
got
Ford
it.
had some dialogue about thanks for coming to get me and stuff like that.
We already did that on the
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
And where did he get the Kyber crystal? I know that's all lore now.
I would say
wasn't back then.
I would say he picked it up at Ben's place.
That's what I said too. And then the theory is that it's supposed to be Qui-Gon Jinn's
Sure.
Kyber crystal because he would have held on to that forever.
What color was Qui-Gon's?
I think it was green. I
think
could be
so.
wrong, but I think it was green.
They said earlier, like if you watch the earlier trailers for that,
It's blue.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sabers
no,
is-
Luke's is blue.
Luke's is blue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
But they
and the
wanted
sail barge, it's
Right.
blue.
I
Yeah,
read that they wanted it to pop off the background. more.
yeah, pop off the background. So I like the theory of, and I don't really run the whole theories type of thing. It's not who I am, but I do like the idea that Obi-Wan is his friend or Qui-Gon's friend would have kept
Yeah.
that all these
Sure.
years.
Why not?
Yeah.
That even the broken lightsaber, or whatever, he would have got that
Yeah,
lightsaber and
that's
kept
his
it. So
mentor's
yeah, it wouldn't
thing.
fall into somebody else's hands,
Right.
Which is weird though, because technically, with Qui-Gon feeling so strongly about Anakin, I thought that Obi-Wan would have taken that lightsaber and gave it to Anakin and say, carry on that tradition instead of having
That would have been
his own whatever. But that messes up canon. Like you can't
Oh.
do that unless he would have lost it or something like that.
Well, a quick stat: it did win 5 Oscars: best original score, sound mixing, editing, and production design. And I have to admit, the sound design was pretty darn good, and the score. I agree with the rest of them are good too, but those two stuck out a lot to me watching it today. The sound effects,
the sound is just really
the battle
great.
station, the attacking the station.
Right. I love the sound. The sound of that is good. I know I leaned over to you and I said, when he lights up that saber in when he's the speeder bike, like it's just that sound and like motorcycles, it just was really good and hits that lightsaber and the explosion. I was like, it really pops off to me. Like I really noticed it. I'm like, oh my God. I do want to talk about really quick. You can tell me where to fit it in at, but is it flying ships into the Death Star? Is that a design flaw? Or is it because it wasn't fully built?
Why did they make the chasm so large enough?
That's what I'm saying. Is it because it wasn't fully built?
Well, I wonder, maybe you have to fly them in and out as you're building it.
Oh
Like
my God.
construction
Bring
ships.
parts. Or
Is it
something?
because it wasn't fully built? Because like he flew the Falcon in there and he's like, watch out, it could get real tight in here.
Wouldn't it be easier to go around to the other side that wasn't built?
I don't know, dude.
Come at it
And
from
then
that
it opens up and they're like literally, what is that thing where it's
Middle?
like the
The center of a jawbreaker?
man, like the exhaust port thing from Star Wars, that's tough. But seems like blowing this one up is not. Once you got rid of the shield from Endor, you were good, buddy.
Yeah.
Just fly somebody in there. And did it have to be the Falcon? Was that always it? Like, what if the Falcon got blown up, hypothetically, and it was only
I would
Red
assume,
leader in
I would
there.
assume
Would you be able to
everybody
shoot it?
else that's following them is able to
as
deliver
like,
that.
oh my God, that's just so funny. Sorry, that's a pick, but
I also wanted to ask you guys. I don't know why I'm the monitor all of a sudden.
That's all right.
do it, man, do it.
You're at the head of the table. You're good.
Would you-
You're on.
I've read that this could be considered the best ending of a series. I'd say like a trilogy, maybe of any probably in history. Would you say it ranks up there? I tend to think like The Godfather. 3 wasn't that hot.
Godfather 3 wasn't that hot in my opinion because it was made so many years later.
Right.
So many years later.
But I mean, this is a good ending to a trilogy. It's sad and happy at the end, which is kind of unusual for an ending of a movie.
Well, it's not my favorite of all time, but no disrespect to you Star Wars fans. My daughter's going to love this. I'm about to drop this. The Lord of the Rings.
Rings. That's the other one I read that people are going to.
That's a perfect. That's a perfect. Although people are, I would even argue that Lord of the Rings: Return of the King's got like 14 endings. It feels
That's true.
Like. It just kind of keeps going on, and it literally has a battle at the end too that should have been in there after all that, and they just decided not to film all that. But
That's fair. That's a good.
I think that's a good that's a good quality ending. But I do think Jedi wraps up really well.
Everybody's storyline seems to wrap up.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of gets, all our heroes get their
They
wishes.
get their whatever, you know. Han gets a girl, Luke gets to be
The Jedi.
reconciled with a Jedi with his father, and you know, I think that's good.
Pieces
Although
of
I
story.
found myself smiling a lot more at the lines that Luke had and what he was doing, knowing what I know about the next 40 years. Like, it made me look at Luke with more respect and more dignity, because I still am argumentative about I haven't got my Luke Skywalker story yet. I don't get to see anything.
No, after
You
the
know?
fact that he
So
becomes a Jedi.
can you just recast it? I'm about to get really loud, I can tell. Can you just recast the role or do something, or Sebastian Stan or whatever they want to do? And can we get some Luke Skywalker adventures? Please? Like, I'm okay with the Mandalorian and all this stuff, but I've never seen Luke Skywalker go, this rebel thing needs an escort and I'm going to go help them. And then there's some bad pirates and I'm going to light up a lightsaber and I'm going to fuck everybody up.
Right.
You know, I want to see Luke in his prime. We get Luke beginning his prime and old man. That's all you get. And as far as I can care, the new trilogy, they hate Luke Skywalker. They do. Whoever did all that, or they hate him. They hated everything to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Excuse me.
No, I agree. They definitely downplay him. How
I
would
think
you
about it in my throat.
getting a little acid reflux on?
That's what happened. Sorry,
on
man.
Luke
I get
Skywalker.
passionate about Luke.
I mean, that's kind of what they did with the Obi-Wan series, right? They tried to reimagine or continue that story of him, the backstory of him, but I don't know if that one really.
No, we said that for another time.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. But I hate to see something like that.
The Obi-Wan series, in my opinion, was fan service. I know, controversial statement, but I think there was really no reason to do that. Would you want an Obi-Wan movie where it was just him being a space cowboy somewhere? Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
But they boxed him in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The problem is he has a job.
Yeah.
From the end of the first trilogy to the beginning of the second.
Yeah, we can get into that some other time.
By the way, I'm going to drop this on you two guys too, if you can find it. I don't know the names because I don't want to do the plug, but there's two guys out there on the internet that took the Obi-Wan series, and I don't know what other series they did, but they condensed them down to like 2-hour movies.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
They're pretty good. I've seen a lot of the scenes of what they've taken out and pacing and stuff like that. I would obviously they're fan edits, but clearly we knew that the Obi-Wan series originally was supposed to be a movie,
right?
And they exercised a lot of stuff out. And from what I was watching and seeing, I was like, oh wow. So it just look into it if you guys are interested.
Nice.
Back to you, Bob.
So as we kind of wrap up this discussion of the 40th anniversary, I mean, do we want to talk about kind of how it fits in, how we view it now from 2023? Because like when you look at the current state of Star Wars and we go another, I don't know, 5-10 years from here, how would we look back at this era as we look back on to 1983? Like, I can look back at that movie and, like you say, you still get the joyous parts of it. Mm-hmm. You got a few nitpicks.
But I think you just said it, though. You said it better now where I could say it, where it's got its ending. It's a great trilogy of films.
Right.
It's a great story.
It's a good story.
If they'd never made any other ones.
If they never made any other ones, we would be like, that would go down in history as one of the greatest trilogies of all times. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm not saying it's not.
No, how do you think this new way of storytelling with series and things on Disney Plus and all that are going to either tarnish or enhance our view of the original series, I guess? Are we taking it like, oh, this is adding to the enjoyment, or is this like, oh man, they're ruining the way I thought about Obi-Wan or the way I thought about Luke?
One of the issues that I think I have about it is that it's very hard. Say you're a young up-and-coming filmmaker, or you're Bob, right? And you're tapped to make a Star Wars film. You have to play in somebody else's sandbox. You don't get a lot of freedom. You have to recognize what came before, that if something is too sketchy, there's parameters. You have to go to somebody to figure that out. And you got to say, can I do this? Can I not do that? What if I want to do this? I want to mention this. Well, I don't know if we should do that. Like that, the whole series, oh boy, here it comes, controversy incoming. The whole series is tainted because of that. So if you want to sit down and we watch these movies as a whole, they're perfect the way they are. I'm not saying they're not without flaws or
Right.
technicalities,
Right.
but they're perfect the way they are. For another generation, like that grew up with, say, the prequel trilogy, they're perfect the way they are. You know,
The prequel.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if people just take these for what they are as this trilogy of films or this trilogy of films, they're fine. Even Revenge of the Sith, it ends. That dude became Darth Vader. You see that. The kids go off somewhere. Now, you could argue, well, what happens to them? You know, I'm not sure and stuff. You know, that's fine, but you had to do it because we already have sequels and stuff. But the movies themselves work. They tell a cohesive story, arguably. You know, the original trilogy tells a cohesive story, arguably. And then you skip 20 years, you know, and you get to everything now. And because there's this great love of what we're talking about right today, everybody expands on that. Why? Why can't you do something else? Like The Mandalorian was fresh 3 years ago or whatever it was, right? It's like, oh, okay. But it wasn't, because I think Jim said that's what we wanted.
That's why I wanted Boba Fett.
That's what we wanted Boba Fett to be. So that literally, that's not really The Mandalorian. That first season, we were like, oh, that's our Boba Fett.
Right.
That's the mythology that we
Right.
wanted. Well, I mean, it went so far that they had to include Boba Fett. What?
Right.
Like, weird, you know? Leave that guy dead in the Sarlacc pit somewhere. Or he got out of the Sarlacc pit, he had a nice retirement, and he died, passed away. So I'm not totally happy with the way things go, because I think it's tainted. It's all tainted. That's my opinion.
Why wouldn't they have made just a Boba Fett series? There were so many stories to tell from the adventures pre-Jedi, you know?
At any point, you know, you can.
Well, Lucasfilm back in the day, you know, he owned all those rights, and he wanted to do that. And then he did what I would consider his biggest mistake. He opened it up to other writers and people to tell. And arguably, I don't know Lucas at all, but I got to think that that guy's ego is huge. And some of those writers wrote things that were so popular compared to what he did, that he was like, I don't acknowledge any of that shit. And if he's the figurehead, you don't get to make those movies, you know? I read a book back in the day called Tales of the Bounty Hunters. They were fantastic, you know? But where IG-11 went, or IG-88, sorry, what happened to Boba Fett and Dengar and all these guys. And I thought, wow, that's really cool, you know? And then, of course, we don't have time for this, but Timothy Zahn dropped his trilogy of novels that
It'll be an upcoming time.
everybody loves those.
We're
We
going
know
to be
where those
talking
are
about
going.
those coming up soon, right?
Yeah. So I just think because Lucas owned all that stuff, he didn't allow any of it, you know?
Jim, what's your thoughts on how you look back at when you seen it today?
I like to.
How do you
Because
view it now as you did back?
I watch a lot of older, like black and white, cheesy, rubber monster kind of stuff, and I kind of developed early on a very much making sure I had the right glasses on when I was watching a thing. So I'm watching this, you know, I can watch it today using the eyes of where I am in 2023, or I can, you know, try to watch it as I watched it as a kid. So I don't know if that makes any
You
sense.
still enjoy it as much?
Yeah, I liked it. You know, like I said, we picked it apart earlier, but that's easy to do. That's easy to do on anything, right? I can do that on any show, anywhere, any genre. You know, I can make fun of it, but yeah, I like the things about it that I liked, and you know, and I was excited about the things I was excited about back then, and you know, some of the things that the Han Solo still does not want to be in that movie at all whatsoever, and I can still sense that today. Wasn't as palpable back then, but
I mean, it is amazing.
time's been fairly kind to these.
Now, it's amazing how much how I feel is how much Luke carries that movie.
Yeah, this is his
Jedi?
movie. This is his movie.
It's like
100%.
it's just he kicks ass as much as he's going to kick ass in the first three, or you know, the middle three.
Right.
So he really he's the emotional center pretty much of this movie. I really enjoyed that. I caught that more today than I ever have. The Ewoks didn't bug me as much as they did in the past. I don't know. Maybe I've just gotten used to them.
Soft to him.
It's gotten soft to them.
there's, it's a fun movie. The whole ending is great. What I did want to mention about The Mandalorian real quick, that finale, was they kind of do what Star Wars does with that multiple storytelling at the end. There's a space battle. They got to do something on the planet. There's something on a ship. That multiple angle.
Yeah, we had
story plot
3
line
at the end of this.
Yeah,
right?
and that's kind of what the Mandalorian had going on with the battle in the sky and the battle in the Grogu fight, the Bo-Katan fight. So I kind of, when I was watching the finale, it reminded me like they're trying to do the Star Wars kind of setup.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but that's
Agreed.
trademark Star Wars, I guess, right?
Right. I don't have a problem with it. For those visually looking at me, I apologize, but keep talking. Just gonna.
So we pause.
We're gonna for a second just. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Okay, guys, so we'll wrap up the discussion of the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary. I think we all had our feelings coming in and coming out. We still enjoyed it. Certain things still bothered us. Certain things still made us feel like a kid again, I guess.
Right.
So, anything else to say about it before we kind of get into our final little segment before we wrap it up?
How would you guys rate these in order? No.
Like crates? Like
No.
Are we gonna do crates?
In order of which one's
Middle trilogy.
like best, what you like best to the least.
I'll
go for. I was straight through guy. I like 1, 2, 3 in that order.
Man, I'll go last because
All right.
that's so good.
I guess I do like Empire a little better.
I would think most people probably like.
Yeah, it'd be 5, 4, 6 for me.
Oh wow,
By
man.
1, 2, 3, I meant 5, 4, 6.
Right.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, sorry.
I've gotten such an appreciation for the different ones over the years. And I think like my view of Star Wars, because it's the first, like, is that psychologically, do I just tell myself that? So it
Right.
automatically goes up the chart.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think,
Like,
yeah, I think
like
for me-
before we get to the Ewoks, I love Return of the Jedi.
Right.
I do. I really like that. And then when we get to Dagobah in
Right.
Empire,
Right.
I'm like, oh, it like
slows down.
It slows down,
slows.
and it's not the training that
It's It's important.
Yeah,
it's
it's
interesting.
important, yeah.
But it slows.
but it's slow. So I guess I gotta say 1 or 4, 6, 5.
Really?
We all have
Yeah, and
different-
that's I know people are gonna be like, really?
Not for sure. Empire would be higher up.
But I like Empire, but
yeah.
Jedi flows for me because it's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not
You know what I mean? Whereas Empire is
a
if you-
downer.
yeah, it's yeah, but if you're not in the ship, it's like, oh my god, and I don't know. There's a lot of non-resolution in that movie, so I like because Star Wars is fun, or
Yeah.
A New Hope is fun, and Jedi is fun. Empire is maybe a different kind of fun. So I'm gonna go 4, 6, 5.
Do we want to just finish up for maybe 10 minutes of talking about what we've been watching and kind of our reel it in
Yeah, what's been going on?
segment?
with you
Just
guys?
what you've been watching, anything on TV or streaming or
So it's like
movies or
2 weeks between.
I know.
Right.
I keep going down these 1980 dives. Like
all
I
right.
don't know why. I mean, well, it's given my age and stuff, and I keep powering through all these. I don't know, stupid action movies.
That's
like
Yeah, but it's just
like,
it's a thing.
you know, like I like
It's a genre.
yeah. So like Equalizer 3 just dropped a trailer the other day, and I'm a huge fan of the Equalizer. Equalizer is a different kind of feel for like maybe in the genre of John Wick, but it's thinking man stuff. Everything now has got to be thinking man stuff. Whereas,
It wasn't in the 80s.
yeah, like so, like I watched. This is gonna sound dumb. Like I watched Commando, right? Everybody knows what Commando is.
Total fun.
Yeah, I watched Commando, and I'm like, oh my god, that movie is so bad, and not
It is.
bad in a bad way,
Bad,
but
good
bad in a good way. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there going, I gotta rewind that, man.
Did that
What did he
happen?
say? Yeah. Like when you start the movie where it's all he's got that big ass log, and like who wrote that? Like did Arnold say, all right, look, this has got to this has got to start out with me carrying the log.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? You know, or like, oh no, I got this great scene. You know, and I love that movie. And what else did I do too? There was another one like that I was watching. It'll come to you guys, what you guys are doing. But I'm just going down this deep dive of 80s movies that are really bad.
Somehow I
In a
got
good
into
way.
black and white movies this week. I watched 3 movies. I didn't plan it that way, but I watched Last Picture Show, which I've never seen,
Mm-hmm.
and that had a lot of sex in it. I did not realize how much. I did not realize how much teenage kind of going on stuff was happening in that. I wasn't expecting that. It was pretty surprising, but it was very good. Jeff Bridges, young Jeff Bridges, Sybil Shepherd, and
There's a third person.
Timothy Bottoms. Yeah, he's really good in it. Then a girl walks home alone at night.
Right.
The Iranian filmmaker. I kind of watched a little bit of the special features. She graduated from UCLA. She made this movie set in Iran. It's a modern day vampire story. That thing was good.
Trailer,
Yeah.
You mentioned it. I looked up the trailer. It did look really interesting.
It's like a modern take on a vampire set in Iran, which is like a really kind of environment you don't see very often in film, American film. And I just loved the way they handled her as a vampire character. We watched that on a Saturday night, and I just thought, let's give it 20 minutes. If we don't like it, we'll turn it off. One of those. And it stayed on the whole thing. So
Nice.
nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
I guess we should say, speaking of that,
yeah.
So for those listening, we do like your comments and things like that. So please keep commenting about what to talk about, stuff like that. But we're going to do a deep dive into vampires coming up.
Yes.
I think so. If those out there listening have ideas or a particular vampire movie that they like, even if it's obscure, please let us know on our Facebook page, in the comments.
And then finally was I picked up that 4K of The Lighthouse, which I really
that nice special edition one, or just the
it's
regular 4K.
It's from A24,
right?
From their shop. It's really interesting. It looks really cool. But I watched it again because I've seen it once in 2020 or 20. Came out right around COVID started. It must have been around 2020 because I watched it. I remember being at home watching it, renting it, and then seeing it again. It's like it kind of made more sense. It's one of those movies that it's very interpretive.
Okay,
it's not kind of cut and dry. It's that Robert Eggers who's ties into our vampire discussion later on, maybe because I guess he's making the remake of Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. So
it'd be nice. It'd be nice if it happened.
He did The Northman. That was his latest, wasn't it?
Yep,
I think. Yeah.
And then just been catching up on Ted Lasso, and I have to tell you, there was an episode we watched last night that was from not the current one when this podcast is being recorded, but the week before. It was one of the best episodes of TV I've seen in a while. I have to admit. I don't know. I have to look into who wrote it, directed, or whatever, but it again had a multi-plot line going on, and it involved all the characters. They were kind of on a away game to Amsterdam, and it was just like I kept saying, I can't believe how good this episode is, because I'm really not that into the show. It's a good show. I really enjoy it, but it really was like you could tell there was something special about that episode. So I really liked that one. And Marvelous Miss Maisel's one we watch. That's another one. Kind of.
Oh, that's great.
We watched that together. We enjoyed it together. And if I can get her to watch something with me, that's always a plus.
Right.
Nice.
It's kind of. It reminds me of a Mad Men.
Yeah, it's
the production value, but in a much lighter, snappy 50s, 60s vibe. She's an up and coming comic, and this is the last season. And it's weird that the season is kind of taking shape where they jump ahead and they show you what happens to her.
Interesting.
And you're like, oh crap, I didn't want to know that already. But,
wow.
but in a way, it's like, oh, okay. So she's going to get from point A to B.
Okay.
You're seeing B,
that's
but then you go back.
That's clever.
So it's an interesting way of building the story. But in a way, I'm like, oh, I didn't want to know this happened to her, So it's interesting. I enjoyed the production value of that show, and the writing's really good, I think. How about you, Jim? You've been watching anything in particular?
Let's see. It's been a busy couple weeks. A lot of family stuff going on at home between my daughter's play and
that she's helping out on, and then volleyball. So I haven't had a ton of time to watch stuff other than The Mandalorian.
Sorry.
I have been enjoying, and this will be old news by the time this is out. There's a current trend on social media / TikTok. I was mentioning it to these guys the other day. It's a Wes Anderson. Mark's just got to grin his teeth. It's a Wes Anderson trend.
Oh my gosh!
People are making tiny little Wes Anderson movies. Set
Oh my
to
gosh!
A sliver of music.
My wife loves them. She loves
fun.
them.
So I'm gonna. We have to get her to make one for the podcast. So.
Yeah, I mean they're fun.
They're fun, and so what's really interesting about it is the distillment in such a short time of what makes a Wes Anderson thing look like a Wes
Anderson thing. Yeah,
so
that's funny.
So that's been very interesting. There's a book out called Accidental Wes Anderson, and it's like people that take photographs, and because of the way the photograph looks or the place looks, it looks like something from a Wes Anderson movie.
Oh, wow.
A lot of it's about the symmetricality of a thing and the colors of a thing. That had me go ahead and watch. I finally watched all of Life Aquatic. I hadn't seen all of that. So that was interesting. It was Wes Anderson-y, but earlier in his Wes Anderson.
A lot of people like that. Like a lot of people like that. That's his top. Like a lot of people say that.
He had, he has a fun thing with, like in Life Aquatic, there's the ship.
That's his apex.
The ship that they're on is, there's they built a cutaway ship.
Oh my God.
So that you could see the character go from one thing to the other. So that was fun. And then I started watching, because it's on our Hulu, I started watching French Dispatch. Which is where that piece of music comes from.
Oh, okay.
It comes from the very beginning of French Dispatch, and almost done with that. And that's been interesting. And that's 100% Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
So
I heard that too. I haven't seen it, so
and it's got a ton of people in it.
Yeah, most of his movies do.
Yeah,
he's got
these
a good knack for putting together.
He's like someone people go, "Hey, do you want to be in my?"
Yeah,
whatever you want me to do.
Yeah, whatever you need me to do. Yeah.
So,
which funny, that used to be like that with Star Wars.
It used to be.
Whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
And now people show up at Star Wars and they get torn apart on the internet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, kind of.
I want to say this though. We are going to explore some creative things coming up now that The Mandalorian is done, and we want to do this 40th anniversary. So we would wrap our Star Wars stuff. So the things coming, like we talked about, perhaps favorite directors. Trilogy of movies. Bob is a huge fan of, and I'm sorry if I get it wrong, coming of age films, right?
Yeah.
That's how I said.
Yeah.
So we're going to do segments in future episodes that are going to be along those lines. So again, if anybody listening has ideas about that kind of stuff, send that kind of stuff in. We really like to hear from you guys to help us along that path, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Hey, I want to put a plug in.
Okay.
Unexpected.
Okay.
In the beginning, second weekend of June is a convention that I attend for the past decade or so called Wonderfest.
Nice.
Takes place in Kentucky and is a model kit show, science fiction and fantasy models. But they always have interesting guests, and they always usually have an interesting overriding theme. And this year's theme is Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
For the anniversary. So what they're planning on having, and I will link, I'll link their webpage in our
Facebook page. Yeah,
so people can check it out, because I'm not going to remember all the names of the guests that are in there.
Right.
But they've got like several of the model makers who are coming that were in Return of the Jedi. And I'm sure they usually put on panels and they talk about stuff.
Man.
There's also a guy who's an actor and he's a model maker, and he's a director. He works quite extensively with Muppets, so maybe Nikki might know him.
Maybe you can snag an interview for the podcast.
Maybe.
That'd be fun.
I'll try. This guy's name is Kirk Thatcher.
I've never heard of him.
He says when he dies, what will be on his tombstone is that he was the Mohawk hunk in Star Trek 4 with the boombox.
I know who he is then. Yeah, that's funny.
So
the one that Leonard Nimoy put to sleep. Yeah, and everybody was like,
he was also funny. A producer on that as well.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
But he works with Henson like
stuff company and things like that.
Okay.
And he was in for Return of the Jedi. He was like a creature shop supervisor.
That's
so
cool.
Real big dude. He was in that Werewolf by Night too. He played one of the assassins. Guy with a big beard.
Oh, wow. Wow, look at you, man. That's awesome. Look at you doing your research.
That's
So-
some other things we're trying to do is
Yeah,
maybe get a
other
special
things.
guest here and there, maybe
Yeah.
possibly. In the
I don't know if
near
this
future.
guy's gonna,
Talk
to me, but-
that's,
what I will do is, as the show goes on, I will post photos of. They really have incredible things that look like they're-
absolutely.
things that
dude.
look like they're
Absolutely.
written. I've sent you guys
Oh, yeah.
pics from that before.
Yeah,
It's-
bazillion picks.
yeah.
Like
Those
I'm
are
like
great
always
stuff.
like, oh my god, and then I feel terrible because I'm not that creative. You know, I can't do it.
Well, I
Stop.
my-
But that's still
my
awesome.
buddies I meet down there, one guy Jeff.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, he's building kits to take down there to put in the
Nice.
show,
Nice.
and I'm like sitting on a wall full of unbuilt
Oh,
models. So-
come on, dude. You got to get on that so we can showcase some of this
So-
stuff.
Yeah, put it on.
Well, you guys here in
Facebook.
Michigan, there's a con coming up.
Oh,
We have two of them a year, Motor City Comic Con. So I know I'll be at it because
Your
my,
family's-
my family loves the cosplay, so they'll be there. Hopefully, I'll see people there, and hopefully, maybe some cards to pass it out.
the
or-
cards are designed.
stuff like that.
Shirts are in the works right now for us. Sorry, folks, if they're hot, then we'll make them available.
That's all right. I'll wear it around if it gets
Yeah.
the time and
Yeah,
stuff. so it
but I
doesn't
would
matter.
definitely
Cool.
take some pics at the con and
Absolutely.
certainly
Absolutely.
cosplay. It would be fun to talk to folks that do that. So
I think that's probably it, though. I think
Yeah.
we've gone a little long and stuff.
Very long.
One last quick thing is that this guy sitting here, I don't know her name, might be Princess something. She's an original Ewok from 1983. This was a gift that I gave my mother back in the day. But yeah, I don't know what her name was, but I dug her out today. I found her on the house. She was sitting in the spare bedroom, so I thought she should be on our Return of the Jedi thing. But anyway, I just wanted to say that.
it's good to have mom.
Yes. So that's all I got.
All right.
Bob,
hopefully
you want
this-
to take us out?
Yeah, well, just follow us at the Fandom Outpost on Facebook and all social media and everywhere you get your podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Apologies to Nikki in advance, who's going to have to sort through this.
Yeah, this one might be a nightmare. So
So,
Yeah, thank you,
Love to
Nikki.
see it.
And hopefully we'll make
Thank
this
you.
a little easier when we do these in-person ones every so often.
yeah. Well, hopefully it works because I mean I like it.
It's
I
been
think
a lot
this
of
is
fun.
this has been a lot of fun. So we might do more of the special edition ones like this if it really warrants it.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of movies coming out this summer that fit into like our trilogy talk and stuff, like the new Indiana Jones and Flash just dropped a trailer, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out next week. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Sorry.
right.
I guess that's gonna be it.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right, everybody.
All right. See you next time.
yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh,
Oh, look at that. Welcome to the Fandom Outpost.
right. Good job, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh,
I
hit
enjoyed
stop
that.
button.
Yeah, I got to find it, man. How do you stop it?
Red